नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपगदामाह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देकं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितां तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललितान् श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। ताप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, I think we can start now. So first of all, I would like to humbly thank you all for giving me an opportunity to serve this most confidential knowledge. Actually, this Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmyam Susugam Kartumavyayam. Krishna is telling this Bhagavad Gita is a king of all knowledge, Rajavidya. Pavitram Idam Uttamam. This is the purest of everything. And also, this is the most confidential knowledge, Krishna is saying. So, you are all blessing me to give this opportunity to serve Krishna. And also, Krishna in the chapter 18, sloga number 68 and 69, basically 69, Krishna is saying, Najattasmat manishyeshu kaschinme kriyapritama bhavida najame tusmat anya priyadaro bhuvi. Krishna is telling that one who explains this knowledge to devotees is more dear to me than anyone else in this world. So basically, Krishna is saying one who talks, explain this knowledge to devotees is more dearer to me. That means you are all helping me to go more and more dear to Krishna. I thank you very much for that from my heart. Really, thank you. Then I would like to seek all your blessings, because you are all dedicatedly serving Sanatana Dharma with your whole heart to give humanity to the world. So you are all much more dearer to the Supreme Lord because you are serving the Sanatana Dharma. So definitely I have to seek your blessings so that I can speak little bit which can benefit you all. So please give me your blessings so that we can discuss little bit whatever I know and we can go further. Okay. So first of all, I would like to ask Sanatana Dharma. You all know Sanatana Dharma. You know what is the meaning of Sanatana Dharma? Or what exactly Sanatana Dharma means? Sanatana means eternal. There is no origin or there is no end. And Dharma is duty. So Sanatana Dharma means eternal duty. The duty of all the living beings from the spiritual world to the material world. So this Sanatana Dharma is the only, this is not a religion. It is the duty of individual beings take birth, individual souls take birth in a body of a human form. So we are all so fortunate that we are following this Sanatana Dharma, that is the eternal duty of the soul, which serves us to, which teaches us to serve the Supreme Lord. Only the Sanatana Dharma teaches the serving mentality or serving tendency, and also only the Sanatana Dharma teaches us to see within ourselves. So we are all in a great family, and we are all really lucky that we are in with the Sanatana Dharma, and we are happy to take this Sanatana Dharma to next generation. So my intention of doing the Bhagavad Gita is whatever I learned without any benefit, I would like to take it to next generation. Whatever I can do, I can do. Maybe I cannot do much more, but I am trying to do very small things, whatever my Gurudev order me to do. So by seeking the blessings of my Gurudev, I will start here. Thank you, everyone. So there are two kinds of duties. One is constitutional duty and other is conditional duty. I'm not sure you hear of these two words, constitutional and conditional. I will explain. I don't know today it is possible to explain, the time permits or not, but definitely I can explain the detailed description of each duty in the one other session. Basically, it is we are soul and we have the body also. Whatever activities which we are do for this body is called conditional duty, and whatever activities which connects the soul to the Supreme Soul is called constitutional duty. So definitely we will go through this, and this Bhagavad Gita explains in a deep manner what is the constitutional duty of a soul take birth in a human form. Okay, so let's start with the Bhagavad Gita, the word. Do you know what is the meaning of this Bhagavad Gita? Anybody can tell what is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita? Okay, sorry. Yes, that's right. This is the song of Bhagavan, eternal song of the Supreme Lord. That means Bhagavat comes from the root word Bhagavan. Gita means song, right? So Bhagavad Gita means the eternal song, the song of the Supreme Lord. Okay, the eternal song of Supreme Lord is called Bhagavad Gita. By the way, what is Bhagavan? Who is Bhagavan? Or what is the meaning of Bhagavan? Okay, I'll tell you. Sorry, I'd ask more things. Bhagavan means Bhaga plus one. Bhaga means one who possesses all the six opulences at the full extent is Bhaga. Sorry. Bhaga means all the six opulences, and one means one who possesses. Bhagavan means one who possesses all the six opulences at a full extent is called Bhagavan. Do you know what are all the six opulences? Wealth, fame, beauty, strength, knowledge, renunciation. These are all the six opulences each human being have, and also the Supreme Lord have, but quantitatively each human being have tiny bit, whereas Bhagavan is the supreme. He possesses at a full extent. For example, do you agree the Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, possesses at a full extent? I can tell you some examples. When Krishna, the Supreme Lord Krishna, take birth in the womb of Vasudev and Devaki, at the age of 3 months, he killed Pudana. Have we here anywhere a child killed a big Rakshasi? Definitely no. Same way, at the age of 7, he lifted the Govardhan hill without any difficulties on a left little finger. For us, it is not even possible to lift the hand like this and keep it for more than 1 hour, more than 10-15 minutes. But Krishna lifted it for 7 days. Same goes, we can go one by one, strength, beauty, and everything we can say. For example, knowledge. Krishna studied all the knowledge, all the arts. There are 64 arts, right? All the 64 arts Krishna studied in 64 days at the Sandipani Muni ashram. That means the arts, 64 arts comprises of dance, music, song, all the fightings, everything. All that, what are all the arts which we possesses? All totally 64 arts. And the Supreme Lord learned the 64 arts within 64 days. For us, even one art, for example, if a person is very good professional in dance, how many years that person has to go to study the dance to make him as a professional? At least one lifetime. It is very difficult for more than going one art. For example, if a person is very good in dance, he cannot think of any other thing. Or if a person is good in singing, he cannot even think of any other activities apart from that. Make him as a professional. He can do many things. That is the difference between Supreme Lord and the human being. That is the meaning of Bhagavan. I can keep on and on and on and on for what are all the qualities make the Supreme Lord as Bhagavan or Krishna as Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means one who possesses all the opulences, 6 opulences at a full extent. Actually, Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita also. Mamaivamsho jiva loge jiva buddha sanadana manashastani indriyani prakritistani karshadi. Krishna is telling that you are all part and parcel of me. I have all the full extent, but you have tiny bit. For example, if you take a ocean, if you take a drop of ocean water, you taste it, the quality, the characteristics of the water is salty. Same characteristics if you take a bunch of water also, or take a big basket of water also, or the big ocean also, the same characteristics. But quantitatively, the salt amount extract from the one drop of water is much lower than the ocean water. That's what Krishna is saying. You are all tiny bit. I am the supreme at a full extent of everything. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita means the song of the Supreme Lord who have all the opulences at a full extent. Okay. So I can tell you one more thing. This Bhagavad Gita, do you know how much time Krishna and Arjuna take to speak this Bhagavad Gita? Can anyone guess how much time? Is it 2 days, 3 days, 4 days? Or because for us reading ordinary reading itself take days. Do you have any guess how many days this Bhagavad Gita was spoken? Actually, this Bhagavad Gita was spoken just 45 minutes straight forward at a one stretch. Within 45 minutes, this complete 700 slokas spoken. That is the opulence Krishna have, and also his great devotee Arjuna also possesses. Okay, so this Bhagavad Gita have 18 chapters, comprises of 700 slokas. Maybe if you would like to take note of this, please take note. This Bhagavad Gita have 18 chapters and 700 slokas. Out of that, 574 slokas spoken by Krishna, 84 slokas by Arjuna, 41 slokas by Sanjaya, and 1 sloka by Dhritarashtra. If you want, I can repeat it. 574 by Krishna, 84 by Arjuna, 41 by Sanjaya, and only 1 by Dhritarashtra. Anybody know the one sloka Dhritarashtra explained? The Dhritarashtra talked this? That is the first sloka of that is the first and foremost sloka of this Bhagavad Gita spoken by Dhritarashtra. That sloka is very simple one. He is he is not talking anything about the body or soul or mind. He is asking Sanjaya, Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveda yutsava mamaga pandavas chaiva kima kurvada Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra is telling, hey Sanjaya, please tell me what is happening in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where my sons and sons of Pandu assembled to fight. Right? So, somebody's... Okay. Okay. So, that is starts, the Bhagavad Gita starts with this sloka, Dhritarashtra asking the question to Sanjaya. Then it continues, explain about the battle, army arrangement, then karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, then bhakti yoga, all these things. Okay, basically the chapter 1 and a few slokas of chapter 2 talks about the problem statement. Rest all the slokas give the solutions. You know, this Bhagavad Gita was spoken in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? So, why this Bhagavad Gita was spoken in Kurukshetra? Sorry, I would like to somebody's interaction.
Actually, it was spoken. Yeah, I know it. Sorry to interrupt in between. It was spoken because when Arjun was he was fighting and he saw all his brothers in front of him, and he cannot, he don't want to fight because he sees that every one of his family is there and he don't want to kill them. He don't want to become the king, killing them. So that's why he told Krishna that he don't want to fight, not because he is not confident enough to defeat them. He know that he can do that, but he don't want to kill them. Just
Exactly.
to get just to get kingdom, he don't want to kill them. So that was, and at that time the Krishna, in order to motivate him, tell him about this Bhagavad Gita, that about karma and everything, he spoke. So that's what it was all. Thank you.
Exactly, Mataji, thank you. That's the exact thing, external meaning. That is Krishna. Basically, I can tell you this Bhagavad Gita is a set about this Kurukshetra battlefield and all. It's a setup of the Supreme Lord. Basically, Krishna wants to give this knowledge to the human being in this material world. right? So Krishna want to give because, as Krishna mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, that this supreme knowledge, right? Imam Vavasvade Yogam Proktavan Ahamovyayam Vavaswan Manave Praga Manurikshvahave Abravit. The Supreme Lord is telling that this science of knowledge, it is the basic for all the human beings, which I spoke to sun god Vivaswan, and by through disciplic successions it come. But by the time it reaches the Dwapara Yuga or end of Dwapara Yuga, Krishna sees that the efficiency of the knowledge which he transferred to Vivaswan is degrading, or the quality or characteristics are degrading, and people are going more sinful activities. So Krishna wants to give this knowledge again through some medium. So he selected Arjuna as the medium to speak, as he mentioned in another slokas also. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatushkridam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. See, every millennium Krishna comes and gives this knowledge again and again to the three things: to protect the devotees, to annihilate all the miscreants, and re-establish the dharma. So Krishna wants, there is a medium to have this knowledge to be spoken, give to the mankind for this Kali Yuga, as he know this Kali Yuga is degrading. So he want to give a condensed version of all the Vedas, because people of Kali Yuga don't have any qualities or characteristics to gain the knowledge. So Krishna wants to give this, so he chooses Arjuna as a medium in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because another reason is the people in this Kali Yuga are fully undisturbed. They don't have any peace of mind. They are always quarrelsome. They are always they don't have peace of mind. They are always fighting. Always fighting going within each of the human being. I'm not sure you agree or not. There are so many things which the people are thinking and quarreling, and within the mind there is no peace. So Krishna want to make a situation like that. In this disturbed condition, also you can use only this supreme knowledge to make sure you will achieve the goal of life. That is the reason Krishna selected the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Otherwise, Krishna would have told this knowledge. Krishna might have created a scene, atmosphere, in that Arjuna would have asked this before the battle starts. In the palace, sit in the palace and explain Arjuna very detailed. Hey, the war is going to happen like this, so you may face this problem. You have to tackle like this. Krishna might have would have told him, but he didn't do that, because he wanted to ensure that the people, the mentality or the characteristics of people are same as the one where he is speaking this Bhagavad Gita. That's the reason he speaks Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield. Okay, so now so far any questions you have? Sujata Mataji, anybody have any questions?
Like I want to ask, sorry, you continue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I just want to understand. I know why the Krishna has, like, say, in Bhagavad Gita and everything, but what was the ultimate motto, of this Bhagavad Gita? What he is trying to explain? What, like, in short, can you tell us the message he want to convey through Bhagavad
Okay.
Gita to all of us?
So, Madaji, can you give me another 45 minutes for 30, 35, 40 minutes? I will definitely, I'm going to that only. What is the goal when we read the Bhagavad Gita, or what we are going to achieve when we read the Bhagavad Gita? Is it okay, or you want? Is it okay? I will definitely, I will touch that little bit today. Okay, so now let us see what is the significance of reading Bhagavad Gita, or why only read Bhagavad Gita, why not other Shastras, right? I will give you two of the reasons here because we have time permits. So, does anybody know how many Vedas or Puranas or Upanishads we have? Total, how many slokas we have? Okay, let me explain. There are Vedas, four Vedas, all Rig, Yajur, Sama, Atharva. Puranas 18, Upanishads 108. Okay, in total, we have around 400,000 slokas. We have to understand all. For example, the Upanishads is the crown of all the Puranas or Vedas. That gives us the some key messages. The Upanishads are the one give the key messages. Okay, so there are 400,000 slokas. If you read, then only we can understand the knowledge which the Supreme Lord want to convey this. We know the earlier ages, all the sages, they read all these things and they have the vast knowledge of all these things. The reason for that is there are two things according to Shastras also. The previous yugas, the people live very long. You can tell some examples. Maybe I will continue this. See, for example, Dashrath Maharaj. Okay, in the previous yugas, the people lived very long life. For example, we can see the great rishis. They did tapasya for 10,000 years. Dashrath Maharaj lived for 60,000 years. For us, 100 years is very difficult now. And second thing is the memory of us. Actually, this is the quality of the people in Kali Yuga that Krishna explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 2nd chapter. You can read that. There it is clearly mentioned. Right? So, Krishna, there are two things are very, very important. Why we need a Bhagavad Gita? Why we need to read the Bhagavad Gita? Okay. The first one is we have very, very short life. Okay. Within this short life, and also we have very, very, very poor memory capacity. In the ancient times, or all the great sages, there is no book or there is no memory storage devices. Whatever they hear one time, they can memorize and they can understand and realize the meaning if they hear only one time. That is the power of the memory they have on the sages or the previous yuga people. And also their life is also too long. Whereas this Kali Yuga people, Shastra says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is very clearly mentioned. Prayen alpayushas sabya kalau asmin yuge jana manda sumanda madayo manda bhagyahi ubadrada. Manda. The people in Kali Yuga are lazy. People in Kali Yuga are always disturbed. People in Kali Yuga are always having full of sins. Prayena alpa ayushas sabya. the life is very, very short. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, in another place it is mentioned that at the end of Kali Yuga, the age of the human life is less than 50 years, is the maximum duration. So this Iron Age, this is called Iron Age. This Kali Yuga is called Iron Age. People always have low, short lives, quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So with this short life and with this memory, just imagine how much Shastras we can learn, how much Slokas we can learn, how many lives we need to learn the 400,000 Slokas. So within 100 years of lifetime, definitely it is very, very difficult, or it is impossible to do that. So foreseeing the difficulties of the people in Kali Yuga, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Lord Krishna, by his causeless mercy, condensed the message of all the Shastras into one small book with 700 slokas. Actually, Krishna is the Supreme Father. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Bija Pradabida. Not only that, he is the supreme controller. He is living in everyone's heart. As a supreme, he knows what is happening in each and every being. Right? So, as a supreme father of each living being, Krishna condensed the message of all the Vedas and give it into in the form of 700 verses. That is called Bhagavad Gita. So, if a person want to achieve the goal of life, he must read the Bhagavad Gita. In Shankaracharya, he wrote some explains in his Gita Mahatmyam. He had a very nice verse, very wonderful verse he mentioned. Sarvo Banishado Gavo Dogda Gobala Nandana Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Mradam Maha. Oh, very wonderful, very tasty verse. Sarvo Banishado Gavo Dogda Gobala Nandana. If all Upanishads are like a cow, the milker is the son of the cowherd, Krishna, and Arjuna is the calf. The men in this material world are the drinkers of the milk, and the milk is the supreme nectar or this Bhagavad Gita. So Shankaracharya is explaining very wonderfully that if all the Upanishads compared to a cow here, then the milk is compared to Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is the milk or the nectar come out of the cow. That means all the Upanishads all the Vedas are like a cow, and the nectar of the cow is the milk. So the nectar of the Vedas are the Bhagavad Gita. That's what Shankaracharya is telling. And the nectar is milked by the milk is milked by the cowherd Krishna and giving to the calf Arjuna to distribute it to the people in human being, this Kali Yuga. That's what Shankaracharya very poetically explains. Sarvobanishado Gavo Dogda Gobala Nandana Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Mradam Mahat. Dugdam, nectar. This Gita is the nectar. Okay, so by his causeless mercy, the Supreme Lord makes a condensed version of all the Vedas and give it to us as a father to make this life successful. And also, I would like to explain one more reason. So we all have mobile phones or any lot of electronic gadgets, right? When we buy a gadget, they give a manual, right? Do you all receive the manual with the gadgets? Yes, right? Or no, we don't receive the manual.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So what is the purpose of that manual? Why we need a manual for a machine or gadget we buy?
To understand it in a proper way, now how to use it.
Exactly. So for this man-made machine, this tiny sensed person-made machine, within the man-made machine to understand or operate, we need a manual. Then in that case, this human body, nobody know this, none of the human beings can understand the real operations of the human body. To operate this, do we need a manual or not? How to operate this body? Do we need a manual?
Yes.
Definitely we need a manual. That is this Bhagavad Gita. To operate this body, or with this body, the machine, this body, the so-called this machine, the so-called body, can be operated properly as per the guidance of, as per the direction of it was originally designed only by reading the manual. Without reading the manual, we cannot operate this machine, and that is the result we are seeing now. Actually, our ancestors know this very well, and they followed this this paths, or this, they read the manual very properly, and they followed the directions in the manual, and they lived a peaceful life. But you can ask why they die. That is the quality of the material world. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi. Nobody can stop birth or death until we understand. That is the purpose I will go to later. Okay, the person, definitely whoever born in this world must die, but how they are living and how we are living, we are thinking that we are technologically developed and our ancestors are foolish. They don't know anything, they don't design anything, they don't design a mobile phone, they don't design an electric train, right? We are thinking like that, but they if we see our ancestors, they had a communication. They don't need an electronic device to communicate to others. They no need a television set to see the far-sighted things. There is no need a live forecasting, live transmission. Sanjaya sit in the palace of Dhritarashtra and see what is happening in the battlefield 200 kilometers far. Kurukshetra. If Sanjaya can do, Sanjaya is a normal, this is a, what is this? He's a chariot driver. If Sanjaya, the chariot driver, got the vision from Vyasadev to see the far-sighted things, how the great sages are. We are thinking that we need we discovered television set, we discovered aeroplane. See, I tell you, there is one sage, I couldn't remember his name. He developed a aeroplane which can take one whole city which consists of lakes and rivers to travel. That is, our ancestors, without the usage of this material things, they designed so many ways of communication, so many ways of transportation. For example, Narada Maharshi, he can travel from material planet to the Gologa by his thinking only. We are thinking that we travel from India to America. Oh, I am traveling, I am going to America, I am coming to Thailand. I traveled through flight. But our ancestors, they traveled by thinking of, by their thought process only, they traveled. This is the difference between our ancestors and we are today. We are saying that our ancestors are foolish, and we are living in a condition, the whole world is under chaotic. And the thing is, the natural calamities become our daily life. For example, now you can see COVID. We cannot control a simple virus, and we become normal, our life become normalized in this COVID. Why? Because we are not following the manual and we are destructing the nature. That is our technological development. This must change, or we have to, at least whatever we can do to achieve the human form of life, we have to read only Bhagavad Gita, no other way. So far, any questions? Mataji, I will answer you at the end. I'll tell you your question. I still remember. So another 15 minutes. How much time I have? Another more, Mataji. I have lot of things to cover. I don't think I can finish it off by today. No, how much time? Okay, until 6:30, right, Mataji? Until 6:30. Okay. So,
Can we do up till 6:30? Then, if everybody is okay, can we again do Friday, next Friday,
yes,
if it is possible?
I am okay. I can do.
Yeah, because this thing is very good, started by you and Sujata ji, and it's something that we need to know about ourselves also, and to explain to our kids also. So I really want to learn more from you and from Sujata ji, if it's okay. Like, because I don't want to have like less knowledge, I don't want you to be very fast in order to complete it. So I
Thank you.
want you to take time and you explaining it very beautifully and in very detail.
Thank
So
you.
if it's okay, we can up till 6:30 we do, and next Friday, if it's okay with all of you, we can again continue, so that you can explain us in details if you have, if it's okay with all of them.
I am happy. I would like to get from Sujata ji and others. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much. No,
So,
actually, you are the medium, and
yes,
he is the one who helped. So thanks to both of you.
thank you. So, by the way, so far I am going, you are able to understand, or I need to change anything? Sorry.
No, you are explaining it so beautifully. Everything is like very clear. Yeah, you are explaining it in very simple language, which we can understand, like with examples and everything. You're doing a great job. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So, as we talked so far, whatever I talk, I will summarize. Is this Bhagavad Gita is not a normal book, and this is the manual for human life. So this Bhagavad Gita is not only for the people in Sanatana Dharma, but this is the manual for each one of the human being take birth in this material world. But unfortunately, today this becomes only as people, only the what is that? What they say? This is the like a Bible. Bhagavad Gita is like a Bible or Quran for Hindus. That was the wrong message we are, or our this world is giving. In fact, that is not. This is whoever all born as a human form, whatever all the souls take birth in the human form, must read and understand. Then the society will be peaceful, and each one of us can lead the life perfectly. So I would like to request you all to take this opportunity to start at least hearing this Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so let me quickly touch on what is in the Bhagavad Gita for Mataji asked question. There are 5 very important things. Sorry, I just give the very brief only. Next week I will explain you, Mataji, detailed. So there are 5 very important messages in the Bhagavad Gita. One is, who am I? Who am I? For example, I can just explain for a minute of this one. Who am I? Anybody can, do you have any answers? Anybody can tell, who am I? Who are you? For example, if I ask a kid, who are you? They will say, I am so and so by name. I am Satish. I am Suresh. I am Rajesh. Something like that. Is it the practice we have? But the real, who am I? Who are you? Miss Mataji.
Like the true mission of my life, and the true of myself, searching. Okay. Because all of us have mission in life, and everything is happening in our life for some reason. So it's very important to know the true self, but how to find that true self?
Yes, okay. So Bhagavad Gita tells us that who am I is the question. So far we are identifying this body as me. But Bhagavad Gita is telling, you are not this body, you are the soul sitting inside your body, inside this body as a machine. That is you. For example, I will give you one small example here. I'm not sure you are all went through, some of the person died and all, some persons died, you all went through there, right? So normally people, what they say in English, I don't know how in Hindi and other language, Hindi, but in English, so and so passed away. Have you heard this word? Has so and so person passed away?
Yes.
Or so and so left his body. Have you heard this word also?
Yes.
So what passed away from this body? See, when we go and see the body, whatever we see in the physical form, his eyes, ears, hands, leg, mouth, everything is physically present. Then what left from the body?
Soul.
Exactly. What passed away from the body is the soul. And Krishna is telling the same thing. You are not this body, you are the soul. Don't identify you as your body. Identify you as your soul. Then the miseries of the body will not affect you. All miseries of the bodies are only for this body. All the pain and pleasures are only for this body. All the sense gratification activities which we are doing today is only for this body, which cannot go long. I will tell you another example, very good practical example I am telling you. Each one of us doing so many plannings for our life. For example, a child, when he study, he has a goal. I want to become a doctor. Then when he become a doctor, he have a goal. I want to make a big house. I want to have a good wife. I want to have a good family. I want to earn this much money, and my life should be like this. We have so many goals. That is, just to think of how many years this goal he is going to enjoy. Assume he is 30-40 years. Maybe this all goals for him will be another maximum of 60 years. That too at the extent. What is the planning for after 60 years? That means all the planning what he do is only for this body. All the activities which he is thinking of is only for this body, not for the soul. And we are indirectly telling that we are not this body when somebody passed away. Until we live, we are saying that we are this body and working everything for this body. Is it clear we are soul or body? What is difference?
Very nicely explained. Very nice.
Yes, clear.
So please keep in mind, Krishna, it is not I am saying, Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita so many examples. Dehinosmin yada dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tada dehandara praptir dhiras tatrana muhyadi. As this body moves from childhood to youth to old age, the soul leaves the body at the time when the body is no more useful. This is called death. Krishna is telling. Matra sparshastu kaundeya sitoshna sugadukkada agama bhayino nityas tamstidikshasva bharada. Krishna is telling, as the weather comes and go, this happiness and distress of the body come and go. There is no permanent. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharada. Dehi nityam avadyoyam. Who are living in this body is permanent, but this body is not permanent. The chapter 2, so many slokas Krishna is explaining. Who are you or who am I? And clearly indicating each and every sloka that this we are not this body, we are soul. And also Krishna is explaining, na jayade mriyade vakada chinnayam bhutva bhavida vanabhuya. There is no death or birth for the soul. Soul simply moves one body to other, depends on the reactions. So soul is permanent.
What is reaction?
I will go to that, Mataji. That is a big topic. Definitely, I will explain you. See, for example, do you know the laws of gravitational force?
Yes.
Third law, Newton's third law. Every action there is an equal and opposite reaction.
Yes.
So, is it only for the ball which we throw in the wall, the ball comes back? No. That is the example Newton showed in the material world. Same way, every action which we do by thinking, by doing physical, by talking, all this will have reaction. And that reactions makes us make another life. Every action will have equal and opposite reaction. That is common for material world as well as spiritual soul. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes. The law of cause and effect you're talking about now.
Yes. Okay, sorry, time is 31 already. I just want to touch 1 minute. Then in the Bhagavad Gita talks, another important thing is who is God. Then the third thing is what is the relationship between God and me. Then how to reach God and what is the goal of human life. These are all the 5 things this Bhagavad Gita teaches us. This is the most essential thing every one of us must know, and I will cover in the next session all these 5.
Okay. Thank you so much. You really did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. All Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Sujata
Not at all
ji.
qualified, Mataji. By the mercy
Thank
of
you,
God.
Sujata ji.
Sujata ji.
Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So see you tomorrow, Mataji. See you the kids along with the kids. Mataji. Yes, and also tomorrow we may not teach the kids any slokas, but we will go through some prelim introductions and give some basic understandings for the kids.
But for kids now, sir, please explain it in much simpler language, like with many examples of the kids, because they are just 11, 12 years old now.
So, Mataji, what I get feedback, I was trying to do in another group, explaining the meanings and all, but the thing is, I get feedback that kids are getting bored or they don't want to know the meaning. First, they want to understand the slogan, read the slogan only. They have to practice the logo. That's what I got feedback. I was trying to explain in different ways, but they are saying that no need to explain much meanings of the slogan at this moment. At least once they started learning and get the interest of learning reading the slokas, then slowly we can reach out the meaning.
Yeah, because your explanation is very good for us. But
Yes.
the kids, they think that, bhashan de rahe hain. I just use the Hindi language. Huh.
Yes.
नहीं वो तो आई एम श्योर. नहीं, हाँ, वो बात सही है. बस मैं इतना ही रिक्वेस्ट कर रही थी कि क्या है, बच्चे क्या है, 1-2 सेशंस अटेंड करेंगे, फिर उनको लगेगा कि नहीं, तो उनका जैसे आपने मुझे बताया ना, जैसे बॉल फेंका वो सामने आपकी तरफ आएगा, तो मैं समझ गई कॉज एंड इफेक्ट की आप बात कर रहे हैं. तो बच्चों को ना इसी तरह के गेम के कुछ एग्जांपल्स लेके और कुछ आप समझाएंगे और कितना लाइफ में इंपॉर्टेंट है, मतलब समथिंग फनी वे में कुछ ऐसा क्रिएटिव करके, तो वो मतलब वो समझेंगे भी और वो आपके सेशन को एंजॉय भी करेंगे और टेंशन भी देंगे.
मैं भी कुछ कहना चाहूंगी शिखा को. मैं कहना चाहूंगी शिखा, गुरुजी या सुजाता अकेले कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे. वो लोग तो 10% करेंगे, 90% जॉब हम मदर्स का है. हमें उनको मोटिवेट करना है, होमवर्क कराना है, एक्सप्लेन करना है. वो एक से एक तीर देंगे, उसके निशाने पे हमको लगाना है. तो इट्स आवर हार्ड वर्क टू. सॉरी है मैंने
हार्ड
बीच
वर्क
में बोला.
नहीं, हार्ड वर्क के लिए कोई नहीं कर रहा है. वो एक्चुअली पता है हार्ड वर्क अपन करेंगे.
So let me put up like this. So my plan or my act, what I did was I make an interest for the kids to join the session first. Let me tell you, the parents, the feedback. This is the feedback I got. My daughter or my son don't wake up Sunday at least 9-10. Nowadays, the son or daughter is telling me to keep the alarm to wake up them at 9 o'clock to attend the class. That's the I
Wow.
want to make the interest for the kids to join the class through
Very
games,
nice.
through interactions. See, simply they are coming with the fun. So if we started teaching the meanings and all, they lose the interest. So we have to go more, at least first make them to have an interest to join the session. Then we will teach slowly.
Yes.
We have fun games. We have these quizzes. We have a lot of things, Mataji. So tomorrow, that's what I said. Tomorrow I am not going to teach even the slokas. Tomorrow we will be fully games and interactions only.
Yeah, thank you so much. So that's only I, because we as a mother will do, because I will also sit with my kids and listen to already have said.
Yeah.
So I will be there also. So that if she has any question